Have you ever let a single moment of anger spiral into an entire day of frustration? That one comment, that one careless remark, and suddenly you're hijacked by emotion. You're thrown off track, saying things you'll later regret. Why does it feel like we have no control when emotions flare up? And more importantly, how do we regain that control? What if I told you that the real battlefield isn't in the outside world, it's in your mind? That's right. The Stoics believed your mind is where the true battle lies. And the good news is you hold the power to win it. But how? Well, let me show you a way to conquer those emotional. Anger can feel like a wave, uncontrollable, overwhelming, and powerful. But what if you could learn how to surf the wave instead of being drowned by it? In this video, you'll discover how to break free from the chains of anger and emotional reactions, mastering your peace like a stoic warrior. Have you ever let a moment of anger steal your peace and ruin your entire day? One rude comment, a minor insult, and suddenly everything is thrown off course. You're hijacked by emotion. You say things you'll later regret, and all the while you wonder, why does it feel like I have no control over this? Why does it seem so hard to maintain composure when emotions flood in? The truth is, the Stoics had an answer for this, and it's a powerful one. Your mind is the battlefield, not other people, not external circumstances. The Stoics taught that true power doesn't come from reacting loudly. Instead, it's in the silence, in the stillness, in the ability to remain calm when chaos surrounds you. They believed that real strength lies in choosing peace over reaction and refusing to hand over your emotional well-being to anyone who doesn't deserve it. In this video, you'll learn exactly how to never get angry or upset again, not by suppressing your emotions, but by retraining the way you respond. Stoic philosophy isn't about blocking feelings, it's about mastering them. Through practical, battle-tested techniques, we'll show you how to pause before reacting, detach from negativity, and build emotional resilience like a warrior of the mind. You're not weak for struggling with anger. You're human. Every person has faced moments of disrespect, frustration, and anger. But the difference is the Stoics didn't accept these emotions as part of their identity. They learned to rise above them. And that's where you can begin to change your life. So if you've ever felt emotionally exhausted, like you've been hijacked by your feelings over something that's out of your control, this video is for you. Like, subscribe, and share this with someone who could use a dose of inner peace, because once you start to embrace Stoicism, anger no longer controls you. You become untouchable, and that changes everything. Reframe anger as a habit. You can unlearn anger is not an innate part of who you are. You were not born angry. You didn't come into this world snapping at people in traffic, slamming doors, or replaying old arguments in your head. No, this reaction, the one that feels automatic now, was learned over time. Years of stress, pride, and a culture that teaches men to be tough, loud, and dominant have fed this habit. But here's the real secret. Real strength isn't loud. It's silent. Think about it. The most powerful person in any room is often the one who doesn't flinch, doesn't bark back, and refuses to let their peace be disturbed by the small things. That's strength. And anger? It's a habit. To continue from the previous page, let's dive deeper into the Stoic strategies that can help you stay calm and composed in the face of life's daily challenges. Stoics didn't just see anger as an emotion. They saw it as a weakness in disguise. Epictetus once said, "Any person capable of anger is a slave to it." That's a harsh truth, but it's true. When you react blindly, you give your power away to the very thing that triggered you. You become predictable, easy to manipulate, and emotionally drained. Now picture this. You're standing in line at the DMV. You've been waiting for an hour. Then someone cuts right in front of you with no shame at all. You feel it rising. Your chest tightens, your jaw clenches, and that urge to snap back flares up. That moment right there is your battlefield. You either fight the same old battle you've always lost, or you pause and ask yourself one simple question: will getting angry make this better? You already know the answer. You've experienced it before. You've lashed out in the past, and what did it bring you? More stress, more regret, and a deeper gap between who you are now and who you want to be. This is where Stoicism makes all the difference. You don't have to suppress your feelings, you just need to step outside them. Watch them pass by like clouds in the sky. Acknowledge them, but don't let them take control. Your mind, your rational self, that's the real driver. That's the power Stoics cultivate through discipline. Most men go through life believing that their anger is justified. They think that anger is proof of care, that staying calm is weakness or indifference, but the truth is the opposite. Anyone can explode, that's easy. But what takes real discipline, maturity, and strength is staying calm when everything around you tries to shake you. When someone disrespects you and you don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you flinch, that's true strength. When life throws chaos your way and you remain unmoved, that's control. So what do you do the next time that fire rises in your chest? You pause, you breathe, you remind yourself, this anger is a habit. I don't need to wear it anymore. Then you walk away. Not because you're weak, but because you've grown too strong to waste your energy on things that don't deserve it. You're not here to be triggered. You're here to take your power back. And that begins not by waiting for the world to change, but by responding differently. Respond like a man who owns his mind. Respond like a... Next, let's talk about controlling yourself instead of trying to control others. It's easy to explode, easy to raise your voice, throw a punch, or storm out of the room. That's what most men do when they feel disrespected. They lash out to regain some sense of power. But that kind of power is fake. It burns hot, fades quickly, and always leaves you feeling weaker than before. Real control doesn't come from dominating others. It comes from mastering yourself in the heat of the moment. Anger deceives you. It tells you that if you don't react, you're weak. It tells you that if someone pushes you, you must push back harder. It tells you that silence equals surrender. But think back. How many times has getting angry actually solved anything? You yell and the other person yells louder. You make your point but lose the relationship. You win the argument but lose sleep over what you said. And in the end, you feel drained because you were never truly in control. You were just reacting. Now, imagine this scenario. You're in a meeting at work. Your boss criticizes your idea unfairly, even arrogantly, in front of the whole team. You feel the heat rising. Every part of you wants to fire back, defend your name, shut him down. But something stops you. As we talked about before, Stoicism isn't about suppressing emotions, it's about choosing how to respond. So let's dive deeper into how the Stoics believe true strength lies in mastering your reactions, especially in challenging moments. A voice inside says, if I respond now, I'll only make this worse. So you pause, you breathe, you calmly say thanks for the feedback, I'll revisit it, and move on. Later in private, you speak with clarity, not emotion. That, my friend, is control. That's true strength. And that is Stoic wisdom. Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The Stoics didn't believe in letting pride dictate their actions. They believed in responding, not reacting. They valued clarity over chaos. They understood something that many men still don't. Trying to control others is a losing game. What you can always control is how you choose to show up in the world. Most men make the mistake of thinking silence equals weakness. They believe that walking away somehow makes them less of a man. But think back for a moment. When was the last time someone lost their temper in front of you? Did you respect them more for it, or did you see them lose power in your eyes? Rage may be loud, but respect is quiet. When you stay calm in the face of provocation, you become untouchable. And that unnerves people far more than shouting ever could. The Stoic path doesn't mean you never speak up. It means you choose how and when you speak, on your terms, not your angers. When you learn to delay your reaction, allowing the emotion to pass before you act, you create space. And in that space, you find wisdom. You make better choices. In those moments, you protect your self-respect. The next time someone disrespects you, don't take the bait. Let them act small and you stay solid. Not because you're afraid to respond, but because you're choosing not to fall into their storm. You rise above it, not for them, but for yourself. That's what true control looks like. It's not about having the last word, it's about having the last piece. So, start today. Don't try to control the room. Instead, control your breath, your words, your face, your energy. When you do this, you'll walk out of every conflict with something that most men never find: your dignity, untouched. And that's a win no one can ever take from you. Now let's talk about building calm like a muscle through daily practice. You can't expect to be calm in the chaos if you've never practiced calm and silence before. And that's the part most men miss. They wait until they're angry, disrespected, or overwhelmed, and only then do they try to control themselves. But emotional strength doesn't show up on command. It's trained. It's earned. It's built in the quiet moments when no one's watching. Think about it like physical training. Just like your body won't grow stronger without consistent effort, your mind won't hold steady under pressure unless you've been working on it every day. Self-mastery isn't a switch you flip. It's a skill you forge. Imagine a man who's never touched weights. He suddenly walks into a gym and tries to lift 300 pounds. He gets crushed. The same thing happens with your emotions. If you've never trained yourself to pause, to breathe, to sit with discomfort instead of reacting, then when life hits you hard for the first time, you fold. Not because you're weak, but because you're untrained. Now imagine this. You're home after a long day. Your kid spills juice on your laptop. Your first instinct is to yell, but then something clicks. You've been working on this. Instead of reacting, you pause. You breathe. You calmly say, "Let's clean it up." That moment may seem small, but it's not. That's a rep, that's strength in action. And that rep will serve you in much bigger storms to come. The Stoics understood that life's chaos is inevitable, but it's how you choose to react or not react that defines your character. Continuing from what we discussed earlier, self-discipline doesn't happen randomly or only when challenges arise. It starts with the small actions you take every day. Stoicism is not a philosophy made for monks on a mountain. It was created for real life, for soldiers, leaders, workers, fathers, and anyone surrounded by stress, noise, and conflict. It teaches that peace is not found in isolation. Peace is found when you train your mind to stay steady in the middle of the storm. And this training begins with the little things: waking up early to reflect, journaling your thoughts at night, choosing silence over sarcasm when someone frustrates you. These are not meaningless rituals, they are workouts for the soul. The mistake most men make is waiting for the fire to prove they can stay cool. But that's not how it works. You prepare in advance. You build routines that strengthen your focus, deepen your breath, and sharpen your awareness. Because when pressure hits, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius wrote every day, reflecting on what triggered him, what tested him, and how he could respond better tomorrow. Not because he was weak, but because he wanted to grow stronger. And Epictetus, a former slave, taught that discipline doesn't begin in grand gestures, but in daily control of thoughts and emotions. They practiced calmness as a habit, not a reaction. So if you want to stop being the man who always loses it when things go wrong, start becoming the man who prepares before they do. Sit with your discomfort instead of reaching for distractions. Pay attention to your breath when you're tempted to speak. Reflect at the end of the day, even if it's just for 5 minutes. These aren't small acts, they are your emotional weightlifting. No one is born a Stoic, and no one wakes up with perfect self-control. But the man who commits, who repeats, who trains, becomes untouchable. You build that calmness the same way you build anything else, with effort, with practice, and with time. So don't wait for the world to test you. Test yourself every day, because the man who trains his mind in stillness will win when the noise comes. Fourth, let go of what doesn't serve you. You had your whole day planned. Wake up early, hit the gym, knock out your tasks, and feel on top of everything. Then the traffic hits. Someone cancels a meeting last minute. Your boss piles more on your plate without notice. Now your plan is wrecked, and frustration builds quickly. That tightness in your chest, that heat in your throat isn't coming from the event itself. It's coming from your resistance to it. You're not angry because things changed. You're angry because you thought they wouldn't. But the world doesn't care about your schedule. Life doesn't ask for your permission before it changes course. And the longer you hold on to how you wanted things to go, the more you suffer. That's not weakness. That's attachment. An attachment that, if left unchecked, becomes a trap. A man who needs everything to go right to stay calm is a man who will never know peace. Letting go is not giving up. It's recognizing what's not worth holding on to. It's learning to tell the difference between what's in your hands and what's slipping through your fingers. No matter how tightly you grip, the Stoics understood this better than anyone. They didn't waste energy on traffic, rude people, or changing plans. They saved that energy for what they could actually shape. Their character, their mindset, their response. So when something throws off your day, don't immediately react. Step back. Ask yourself, is this in my control? If the answer is no, don't waste any more energy on it. Let it pass like bad weather. You're not ignoring it. You're simply choosing not to drown in it. That's not denial. It's discipline. The common mistake many men make is thinking that control means forcing things to fit the way they want. But true control is about adaptation. Power is not about making the world obey your every command. It's about staying calm when the world doesn't obey. This is why Stoicism isn't passive, it's precise. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop wasting your care on things that can't be changed. And that shift right there, it frees up your strength for what truly matters. Now picture this. You're in a parking lot. A stranger backs into your car, leaves a dent, and shrugs it off like it's no big deal. You feel that rush of anger, don't you? You want to erupt. You want justice. But after that first wave of emotion, you pause. You ask yourself, will raging at him fix the dent? Will it make him care more? The answer is no. So instead of giving in to the anger, you do the paperwork calmly. You stay composed, protect your energy, and then you drive away. Not just with a damaged bumper, but with your dignity intact. That's the win. Not because you let him off easy, but because you didn't let him take anything more than metal. He doesn't get your peace, your night, your health. You kept those because you let go of what wasn't worth keeping. Stoic strength doesn't shout. It doesn't cling, it releases. And in that release there is real control. So start asking yourself more often, is this mine to hold? If it's not, let it go. The man who knows what to carry and what to drop doesn't get angry at every storm. He walks through it calm, clear, and unshaken. And that man, no matter the chaos, remains in control. 5. Turn conflict into a personal test of mastery. You can't avoid conflict. Not if you're alive, working, dealing with people, building something real. Someone will challenge you, misunderstand you, talk down to you, or push your limits. That's just life. But most men approach conflict reactively. They see it as a threat to their pride, a moment to win or prove something. So they tense up, raise their voices, and try to dominate. But in doing so, they miss what conflict really is. It's not a threat to your power. It's a mirror of it. Conflict reveals where you still lose control, where your ego still takes the lead. You're still a slave to other people's opinions. This is exactly why the Stoics treated every confrontation, every insult, every unfair moment, not as a problem, but as practice. They believed life constantly gives you opportunities to strengthen your mind by refusing to be pulled down by the noise. Imagine this. You're standing at the counter of a hardware store, waiting patiently while the clerk helps someone else. Then, a guy behind you jumps ahead, waves a receipt and demands to be served first. He raises his voice. Everyone turns and looks at you, and there you are. Heart racing, jaw tight, ready to explode. But you don't. Instead, you step back internally. You ask yourself, what's actually at risk here, my time, my ego, or my peace? And right there you make the choice to rise above. That's not weakness, that's power with precision. The mistake many men make is thinking that calm equals surrender. Not reacting means letting people walk all over you, but the truth is letting your emotions hijack you. That's giving your power away. The Stoic doesn't avoid confrontation. He simply doesn't let it control him. He speaks when needed, but not with fire. He speaks with clarity, because he knows the only thing worse than being disrespected is lowering yourself to match that disrespect. As mentioned earlier, conflict is not something to avoid, but an opportunity to practice self-control. When you begin to see every challenge as a test of not who's right, but of who's in control, you will become unshakable. The more you view each challenge as a test, rather than focusing on who's right or wrong, the more unshakable you will become. Conflict turns from a battlefield into a gym. You stop wasting energy on petty arguments. You stop letting small-minded people shrink your world. Instead, you use every moment as an opportunity to build your strength. That's how Marcus Aurelius lived. He ruled an empire, faced betrayal, war, and politics, but still chose stillness. He didn't chase revenge. He chased integrity because he understood that every interaction was a chance to practice self-mastery. Not once in a while, but every day, and those who adopt that approach don't just survive conflict, they walk through it unchanged, untouchable. So the next time someone pushes your buttons, try this. Instead of reacting immediately, say nothing. Instead of proving a point, protect your energy. Instead of letting their chaos become yours, become the calm they can't reach. Not to look good, not to be liked, but because you've trained yourself to rise above what's not worth your fall. You're not here to react to every insult. You're here to sharpen yourself. And every moment of conflict is a chance to do exactly that. Respond with control. That's how you win. And every time you do, you prove something far greater than dominance. You prove you've mastered the hardest battlefield of all, yourself. 6. Stay present, because it's not the moment. That makes you angry. It's your mind racing 10 steps ahead or spiraling 10 steps behind. You're not mad about what someone said. You're mad about what they meant. What might happen next, what it says about you, what you should have said back. That noise in your head. And that's where most of your suffering comes from. And until you learn to stop living in the past or the future, you'll keep losing control in the only moment that matters. Now, men don't talk about this much, but it happens all the time. You get cut off in traffic. That's 3 seconds of inconvenience. But in your head, you replay it for the next 30 minutes. You imagine confronting the guy, yelling, and showing him who's in charge. You carry that weight into your next call, your next meeting, even your dinner table. The moment's gone, but your mind drags it like a chain. And that's how small things become heavy burdens, because you never learn to let them go the moment they happen. Stoicism cuts through this mental clutter like a sharp blade. It says, you only ever have now, and now there is no insult, no imagined outcome, no history to fix. There's only breath, action, and choice. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to snap back to the present. Every time his thoughts wandered, he reminded himself, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think. Not tomorrow, not after you win the argument, right now. The common trap is believing your thoughts are facts. Just because you're thinking something doesn't mean it's true. But most of what you react to isn't real. It's imagined. The Stoics understood that an untamed mind is the root of unnecessary pain. Your imagination, if left unchecked, will build enemies that don't exist and arguments that never happened. Try this. Instead, you're walking into a conversation with someone you don't like. You're already bracing for conflict, expecting disrespect. That tension, it's not from anything they've said. It's from the future you've already created in your head. Earlier, we explored the importance of staying grounded in the present and how mindfulness can help us master our thoughts and emotions. Now let's dive deeper into how we can practice this and how releasing resentment can further strengthen our inner peace. Come back. Be in the moment. Whether someone says something rude or not, you'll handle it better from a calm, grounded mind than from a scattered one. This is why the practice of mindfulness isn't just spiritual fluff. It's a tactical advantage. It keeps your head clear, especially when your instincts are pushing you toward chaos. You don't need to sit cross-legged for an hour to achieve this state. You don't need to meditate for hours. You just need to notice your breath, your posture, the sounds around you, the feeling of your feet pressing into the ground. Every time your mind drifts off into distractions or imagined scenarios, bring it back. You train your mind like a muscle, teaching it to stay right here in the present. And when you do, you stop overreacting to things that haven't even happened yet. You stop reliving moments you can't change. You stop rehearsing things you don't even need to say. Instead, you start responding not from anxiety or fear, but from a place of presence. That's where your calm lives. That's where your power lives. You don't control what has already happened. You don't control what hasn't happened yet, but you do control now. And if you can own the present moment, even just for a few breaths, you're not just practicing Stoicism. You're living free. And that kind of strength is the kind no one can take from you. 7. Drop the weight of resentment before it ages. Resentment doesn't just poison your mind, it wears down your body. You've seen it. The person who looks tired even after a good night's rest. The person who walks with a heaviness, even when they're carrying nothing. The one who flinches, add kindness because they're used to betrayal. That weight isn't physical, it's emotional. And the longer you hold on to anger, blame, and bitterness, the more it eats away at your energy, your clarity, and your ability to feel light again. Most people don't even notice it happening. They think they've moved on, just because they're silent. But silence isn't healing. Just because you don't talk about it doesn't mean it isn't shaping how you speak, how you trust, how you live. That grudge you've been holding on to from 5 years ago, it's still on your shoulders, weighing you down even as you sleep. It's in how fast you snap when someone barely crosses a line. And that's why the Stoics didn't see forgiveness as some moral obligation. They saw it as self-preservation. Letting go isn't about making peace with what was done to you. It's about refusing to let it keep owning you. Every ounce of resentment you carry robs you of peace in the present. And no one deserves that kind of power over your life, not even the person who wronged you. Epictetus said, "You may fetter my leg, but not even Zeus can get the better of my will." That's what forgiveness is. Not approval, not forgetting, but refusing to be shackled from the inside. Think of a time when someone crossed the line. Maybe they lied, maybe they left, or maybe they embarrassed you in front of others. You told yourself you'd never forget, and maybe you didn't. But every time you think of them, your stomach tightens, your energy drops, your peace vanishes. That's not strength. That's self-inflicted punishment. You're reliving what they did long after they've forgotten it, and that's the trap. Thinking that holding on protects you, when in fact, it weakens you. The Stoic doesn't hold on to anger like armor. He releases it like fire in his hands, because he knows it burns the one who carries it the most. Forgiveness doesn't mean trusting them again. It means reclaiming space in your heart for something better, something lighter, continuing from the lesson about the power of forgiveness and letting go of resentment. We now explore another principle that Stoicism brings, the power of pausing before reacting, and it all starts with one choice. Stop feeding the story of what they did. Every time you replay the offense, you reinforce the wound. So stop rehearsing the pain. Start protecting your energy. Imagine you're in the break room. Someone throws a slick comment, you know it's a jab, you could snap back. You could take it home with you. Talk about it with your friend. Let it replay in your mind until midnight. Or you could just smile. Not because you're weak, but because you're done carrying trash that isn't yours. You take a deep breath, walk out, and leave the weight behind. That's not passivity. That's power under control. That's knowing what's worth your energy and what isn't. When you begin to drop resentment, you'll feel it in your posture, your sleep, the clarity of your thoughts. Forgiveness isn't a favor to them. It's a gift you give to yourself. Let it go. Not for their sake, but so you can stop dragging your past into your present. You've got more life ahead of you than behind. Make space for it, because the man who travels light moves faster, breathes deeper, and lives free. And you can be that man if you're ready to put the weight down. 8. Pause before you react. It changes everything. It happens faster than you think. One sentence, one tone, one offhand remark, and you're already halfway to raising your voice or slamming the door. By the time you realize you're angry, your reaction has already taken over. That's how most men live, on autopilot, pushed by outside triggers, pulled by inner tension. And in that split second between the spark and the fire, they give away their power. But what if that split second was the place you took it back? Stoicism begins in the pause, the space between what happens and what you do next. That's the battlefield, not the argument, not the insult. The real fight is in that breath, in that tiny delay where you choose. Do I react like I always do, or do I respond like the man I'm trying to become? Most don't even see that space. Their emotions outrun their awareness. But once you start recognizing it, you realize how much control you actually have, and how often you've been throwing it away. Let's say you're at home, your teenage son talks back again. That tone, that look in his eyes, it stings. You're about to snap, but something holds you back. You take one breath, then say, "I'm going to respond in a minute." That move right there is power. Not silence out of fear, but restraint with purpose. You've just interrupted a cycle that's played out for years in millions of households, and now you're writing a new one. The mistake is believing that if you don't react fast, you'll lose respect. That hesitation means weakness. But what you gain in those 2 seconds is clarity. You give your brain time to process, to decide, to aim. That's what the Stoics trained for. Not the absence of emotion, but the mastery of timing. Marcus Aurelius didn't say, "Don't feel." He said, "Don't act unless it serves the greater good." And that good often starts with silence. We live in a world that rewards fast reactions. Text back now, respond now, defend yourself instantly. Continuing from our exploration of the power of pausing, we now shift our focus to another essential aspect of emotional discipline, the art of accuracy over speed. But emotional discipline isn't about speed. It's about accuracy. Saying the right thing at the right time with the right tone. You can't achieve this if you let adrenaline take over. If you let that rush control the moment, you lose the opportunity to respond. With clarity, you need to stop, you need to breathe. You need to name what you're feeling before it transforms into something you'll regret. And here's the key. It doesn't take years of meditation. It takes one choice. When the pressure hits, when the moment of tension arrives, you pause. You tell yourself, "I don't need to react yet." You walk to the other room or take a few steps back. You take 10 deep breaths. You ask yourself, "What's the outcome I want here?" Only then, after that pause, do you speak. Do you move? Do you act? Not from ego, but from intention. The Stoic man isn't cold. He's clear. He's not slow, he's steady. He doesn't repress what he feels. He commands it. Because in that pause, he sees more. He sees the consequences. He sees the opportunity. And with steady hands, he steps into both. From this point forward, treat every moment of tension as your training ground. When your heart starts to race, when your face heats up, when your fists want to clench, don't move, not yet. Let the moment settle. Then decide how to own it. Because the man who masters the pause doesn't just win the argument, he wins himself. And that is a victory worth choosing again and again. Now you know, you are not a prisoner of your emotions. You are not bound to anger, resentment, or the need to react immediately. What the Stoics taught, what men like Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus lived, is this: calm is not given, it's burned. Self-control is not about denial, it's about discipline. And peace, it's not weakness. It's power sharpened in silence. We've explored how anger is a habit that can be unlearned, how true strength comes from mastering yourself, and how emotional calm is built like a muscle, day by day, through small but deliberate choices. You've seen that letting go is not surrender, it's wisdom. Staying present is the best defense against stress. And in every moment of tension, you have a window, a pause, where your character is forged. This isn't just theory. This is your life. It's in the way you respond to your partner, how you hold your ground in meetings, how you walk away from noise, and how you stand firm in your values. Each moment is a chance to practice, and the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. This is how you stop being triggered by everything and start becoming untouchable. So I invite you, begin with today, train your breath, hold your words, master your pause, and build a mind that cannot be shaken by what it cannot control. If this message resonated with you, share your story in the comments. What moment tested you recently? What have you learned from holding back? We learn by reflecting, and we grow by helping others do the same. Because in the end, the man who can master himself, his thoughts, his reactions, his energy, is the man who owns his life. And that is the kind of strength that endures,